Welcome, everyone. This is Brother Doug with my sister Shoshana and my brother Dennis, and we are the Wakened by Yahuwah Fellowship in Yahuwah Almighty and Yahushua Messiah. We are going to be doing part 2 of the end time study right now. We're going to be starting off with the cross-reference of Luke chapter 21, verse 36 here. So please, whoever's viewing and listening to us, follow along. All right, so Luke chapter 21, verse 36 here tells you need to be counted worthy to escape the tribulation. And it actually starts off by saying, watch then at all times, meaning always, and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all this about to take place and to stand before the Son of Adam, or the Son of Man. So this is warning you that, all right, you need to watch at all times and pray to be counted worthy to escape the tribulation, to stand before Yahusha. So it's pretty self-explanatory there. So, but the other thing that honestly I forgot about was that you need to be also watching at all times. I almost forgot about that part of the verse. So that's another important part of it. All right, so now we're going to jump in here, and let me use my Word document so I know the order of the verses I got to go through here. All right, so here we go. The next portion, abomination of desolation. So I think the best thing to do is to go first where it's first spoken about, which would be in Daniel. And we are going to be going to Daniel. I think we'll start at Daniel
11?
Daniel 11, yeah. Actually, let's start
31.
there. Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. And here we go. So we're going to start there. And here we go. And seeds shall spring up out of him, and they shall profane the set-apart place of strength, and they shall remove the perpetual sacrifice and make the abomination desolate. And probably even better resource I can use right now for the abomination of desolation would be actually TS 2009 notes, and here it will be giving me all the verses on the abomination of desolation. So that was chapter 11, verse 31. Seeds will sprout.
I have a little better translation. It might be a little better, more clear.
Okay.
And strong ones shall arise from him and profane the Mikdash, the stronghold, and shall take away that which is continual, and place the abomination that lays waste. And I'm also crossing it with Daniel 9:27, which says he will make a covenant with many at that time. I'm there. And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall put an end to slaughtering and meal offering, and set up the abomination that lays waste, even to the complete end, and that which is decreed is poured out on the one who lays waste.
Yeah, I actually prefer the Septuagint on this verse. They make it a little bit more clear.
Go ahead.
Says, and 1 week shall establish the covenant with many, and in the midst of the week my sacrifice and drink offering shall be taken away, and on the temple, physical temple, people, shall be the abomination of desolations, and at the end of time, an end shall be put to the desolation. So this is I like how the Septuagint is very specific with the wording here. So that was Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. And let's see here. So we did 11:31 check, 9:27 check. Let's go to, verse 2. Let's see what verse 2 says. I have that written down for some reason. Let's see here. It might be cross-reference here. That's why. Okay. It says, verse 2, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years, which was the word of Yahuwah to the prophet Yirmiyahu. Now, this is interesting. Even 70 years for accomplishment of the desolation of Jerusalem. So that's he's giving a time period by understanding the prophet Jeremiah, basically. of how many years are to be accomplished for the desolation of Jerusalem.
Yeah, this is the 70-week prophecy
see here.
that Daniel gives.
And I also have, let's see here, we also have, I think Daniel 7:25 can technically be used because this is part of the abomination of desolation, would be changing Yahuwah's laws, changing times in his appointed times in his law. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the set apart ones of the Most High, and shall think to change times and law." And actually, the word times there should be appointed times. And power shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time, and, you know, layman's terms,
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Yeah, so that was Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 there. And let me see if I have any more from Daniel before we start going to Maccabees.
May I read Daniel 2, verses
Yeah, sure.
41 to 43?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as you saw the feet and toes, this is Daniel's image that he has, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. The rain is to be divided, but some of the strength of the iron is to be in it, because you saw the iron mixed with muddy clay. And verse 42 says, "And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the rain is partly strong and partly brittle. And as you saw iron mixed with clay, they are mixing themselves with the seed of men, but they are not clinging to each other, even as iron does not mix with clay." And this is definitely talking about something they'll be doing during the Great Tribulation.
And I like how the Septuagint actually says more than just mixed; it says mingled with the seed of men.
Yes.
This is actually referring to a Genesis 6 occurrence in a different way. So this is not talking about two different kingdoms. You know, people try to say it's like two nations, like a divided Roman Empire, the old Christian theory. No, this is talking about like two different seeds mixing with one another. You have
it's divided by DNA.
You have iron, which would be technology, metal. Then you have clay, which in Genesis refers to us. Yahuwah is the potter, we're the clay. So I believe, in my opinion, this is referring to a second reemergence of Genesis 6:4, and that somehow it's going to happen again in those days, in the tribulation period. You're going to have a mixed hybrid race in this last beast kingdom. That's just my opinion. That's what I believe this is referring to.
Yes,
mingled
and I agree
with the seed of men from the Breton Septuagint. So all right, so now we got, and I think I also have this is like a foreshadowing here. We're going to stay in Daniel chapter 2 actually. If you go earlier in the chapter, there's a foreshadowing to the image of the beast here. Daniel chapter 2 verses 31 to 35. And for some reason my shared screen is paused. Okay, thank you Zoom for being stupid. All right, let's see here. Here we go, verse 31. "You, O king, saw and behold an image. That image was great, and the appearance of it excellent, standing before your face, and the form of it was terrible. It was an image, the head of which is of fine gold, its hands and breasts and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of brass, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You saw until a stone was cut out of a mountain without hands, and it smote the image upon its feet of iron and earthenware, and utterly reduced them to powder. And then once for all the clay, iron, brass, silver, gold were ground to powder and became as chaff from the summer threshing floor. and the violence of the wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. And the stone which had smitten the image became a great mountain and filled all the earth. So basically, this is a foreshadowing of Yahuwah and Yahusha destroying the last beast kingdom. And he was giving the image, the vision that he's talking about is represented in this image of gold, half iron, half clay, and brass, and all that. That's referring to the image of Nebuchadnezzar, but it's being broken down into different time periods with the different type of materials. You have because his kingdom was given to the Medes and the Persians and all that. And the last kingdom is what we're in right now. We're in the fourth beast kingdom time period right now as we speak. It's soon going to be revealed in the tribulation coming up what the fourth beast kingdom is going to look like. So anyway, that's why I put Daniel chapter 2 verses 31 to 35. It kind of gives a description of that image. And actually, Nebuchadnezzar's image, he forced people to actually worship it. It was a whole image of gold, the original image. And what's interesting is it was, I believe it was 6, the numerical like measurements were like, I forget if it's 60, and I think it was like 66 total, like with the breadth and the width. So it was kind of interesting. It was almost 666. So I believe it's kind of like a foreshadowing to the image of the beast.
Definitely, because the image of the beast is going to also demand worship.
And First Maccabees, we're going to go to First Maccabees now, chapter 1, verses 54 to 57. And this is why these extra biblical books are important, because they give you fulfillments in prophecy that you will not get usually with the regular 66 book canon. And here we go. So First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 54. I'm reading from my eSword here in the Breton Septuagint. The Septuagint has all 4 books of Maccabees, so whoever doesn't know that. Now the 15th day of the month Kislev in the 445th year, they set up the abomination of desolation, so calls it by name, upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Yehuda on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire. So this is actually even like technically a partial fulfillment of Daniel 7 verse 25 right here. So you have, they basically thought to change times and laws. So they're burning the book of the law. And whosoever was found with any book of the covenant, or if any committed to the Torah, the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put him to death. Now, the king that's doing this is, whoever doesn't know this historically, is Antiochus Epiphanes of Greece, is the guy that's actually fulfilling this. He's the first beast type of guy. And then later on in history, we'll get like Constantine with Rome. Thus did they, by their authority unto the Israelites, every month to as many as were found in the cities. So now, and another cross-reference here from the book of Maccabees, which actually gives you by name who the abomination of desolation was, is 2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 2. And it says, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, or Gentiles, it probably would say in Hebrew, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. So it's kind of interesting. He's called the defender of the Gentiles. That's kind of interesting.
And I'd like to say I believe that the end time will have the same abomination. We will have that same statue of Jupiter which is in front of the Vatican as we speak. And the Vatican is going to be moving to Jerusalem. That's false prophet. And that statue is going right with it. And will be placed in the temple. You can look for it.
Yep,
When the
it's
time
known
comes.
as the statue of Peter. Anyone that wants to look it up, it's the one
That's
that.
not what it is.
Yeah, that's what they call it, and a lot of people have been brainwashed to kissing the foot of that statue, and all that. Let's see here. So the last cross reference I have for the abomination and desolation before we go to the next topic in this study is Revelations chapter 13, verse 15. And it says, "And it was granted to him to give breath to the image of the beast, and that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed." And he causes, all right, so we'll wait for verse 16 for the next part of this study. But verse 15 is specifically referring to the abomination and desolation by name, the image of the beast. It's known as in the New Testament, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many that would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. So the dragon, Satan, gives power to the beast to give breath and life.
Yeah, mine actually says spirit is given to him.
Mm-hmm.
There was given to him to give spirit to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast. So there it is.
Yep. All right, so we're going to see how much time we have. Hopefully we can fit another topic in. I think we still have a decent amount of time. All right, so we're going to try to go, and let's see what's the next topic we have here. I believe it would be the tribulation, the great tribulation, Jacob's trouble. Now, this is going to be a lengthy one. All right, so I believe a great place to start would be
Fifth seal.
Yeah, the fifth seal. Let's see here. So that would
The
be
fifth seal is opened right after the abomination.
All right,
takes
so
place.
Revelations chapter 6.
That's what he says. He says, if you don't worship him, you're going to be killed. And verse 16 says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has this mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Yep. So
And
here's the fifth seal here in Revelation 6, verse 9. And when he opened the fifth seal, I saw underneath the altar the lives of them that were slain for the word of Yahuwah and for the witness which they held. And they cried a loud voice, saying, How long, O Yahuwah, set apart and true, do you not right rule and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? Then a long white robe was given to them, and it was said to them that they should rest yet a while, until also their fellow servants and their brothers, who were about to be killed, as also they should complete. So basically, they got to wait for the rest of their brothers to, be slain.
To reach completion,
Yeah.
mine says.
Yeah, I like that. Reach completion. Yeah.
Okay, and now we can go to who is going to be counted worthy and what happens to them.
All right, let's do that next. Okay, the woman in the wilderness. All right, let's see here. I think we'll go to Luke 21:36. See here.
And this is an overview. We've already been here.
Yeah, we've already been here. This is kind of just a good way to review, and repetition is always two repetitions. So watch then at all times and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all this about to take place and stand before the Son of Adam. So Whoever has saw the part 1 has already heard that. We're gonna go into the meat of this woman in the wilderness portion. We're gonna go to Revelations chapter 12, where you get a lot of the meat of this. Okay, so
I want to say before we get there, this is some of the things that you have to be doing to be counted worthy, because it says you'll be hated by all because of Yahushua's name and Yahuwah's name. So we are not to deny his name no matter what. That's important. And you have to guard his word, guard his commandments, and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, and also guard his word of endurance. He says to endure this time, and it's this time leading up to the putting down of the abomination of desolation and the beginning of the Great Tribulation. It's very difficult to just endure this time for Yahushua's people. So I've already gone over most of the things that we should be doing. Can you or any of our brothers and sisters think of anything I missed before we proceed?
all right, well, let's see. Do not deny his name, keep the commandments, persevere, endure to the end. Trying to think of anything else that's said in Revelations 3:8-10 that he said is guarding his word. See real quick. I know your works, that would be the obedience. I have set before you an open door, no one is able to shut it. You have little power, yet you have guarded my word. That would be the commandments. So that's like the same thing in the first part of the verse. And have not denied and have not denied my name. So the commandments, not denying his name, I think that's pretty much the two main characteristics, and enduring.
That's very important.
So I think
Revelation 14 verse 12 boils it down to, here's the endurance of the Kadeshim, the set apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and holding the belief or trusting in Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yep. Here's the patience or endurance of the set apart ones. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the testimony or the witness of Yahushua Messiah. So that's Revelations 14:12. And so basically you got the obedience, you got in no situation should we deny his or the Father's name, and the endurance and patience. So those are the three main characteristics of those that are counted worthy.
Plus, we need to be watching at all times.
Yeah, that's right.
And
watching at
praying at all times. We need to pray continually that we might be counted worthy. That's what Luke 21:36 is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here we go. Now. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Yahuwah and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Yahuwah, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Okay.
Yep.
Pause right there, because this has been seen in the heavens twice in our history. The first time was right before the birth of Messiah, and that's what it pictured. It pictured his birth and the fact that he and his family had to go out of Israel. They had to go into Egypt. And evidently they stayed for 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years, because that's what it says. But then there comes the second one, which was seen in 2017. There was both of these signs seen. The great sign of the woman clad with the sun and the moon under her feet, on her head a crown of 12 stars, and the sign of the dragon that came right below her to try and catch the child, which in this case, it was not the same planet that was portraying the child. In the first sighting of this sign, we saw, or we didn't see it, the people of Yahusha's time saw a vision of Venus passing through the birth canal of the Virgo. And in this time, in 2017, we saw the planet Jupiter pass. And that's the difference. And Jupiter is usually supposed to be like the king or the sovereign. And so this is Yahusha's people, I suppose. I know that's what it represents. I don't know why he used the planet Jupiter, but let's continue. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, Jupiter was the planet that eventually was used by Nimrod to represent himself. I think he also used Orion, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, so basically this time you had Jupiter going forth, which shows the false Messiah, Jupiter.
And isn't it Orion's belt that goes around one of the...
Yeah, and there's many people speculate Orion originally was supposed to represent Yahusha, and Nimrod usurped it. And so it was kind of a way to create a counterfeit. So anyway, but verse 6 says, a woman fled into the wilderness. So that's the first time that's Miriam going into the wilderness in verse 6 of Egypt. Egypt's a type of wilderness where she had a place prepared of Yahuwah that they should feed her there. 3.5 years. So when this happens in our day, when this physically happens in our day where Satan's after us, we're going to have to be taken to the wilderness for 3.5 years. And it says, verse 7, it says, there was war in heaven. Now, I always say this, this actually tells you when Satan fell. Pay attention here. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels. So what time period is this happening in? This is when Yahusha is being born on earth, that this is happening. And prevailed not, neither was there a place found any more in heaven. So at that point, there was no place found for Satan and his angels in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out. That old Nachash, or diviner, or shining one. And actually, it's interesting in the Aramaic here, actually says chief Nachash. It says the great dragon was cast down, that chief Nachash, which is called the devil and Satan, which deceives all the earth, and it was cast down unto the earth, or in the King James it would say in the earth, and its angels were cast out with it. And I heard a great voice from heaven that said, now is the salvation and power and kingdom of our Elohim, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them night and day before our Elohim. Now what's kind of interesting is there's a partial fulfillment when Yahusha's with his ministry. He says that the kingdom of Yahuwah is near. I believe that verse 10 here could be alluding to that around that time period, Yahusha's ministry, that when he was saying the kingdom of Yahuwah is near, it was like a partial fulfillment of verse 10, not a full fulfillment, but a partial fulfillment. That when he's in his ministry and he's about to die for our sins, that the kingdom of Yahuwah was drawing near to us. And so, hold on a second. We'll be right back. Sorry about that, y'all. We had a little bit of technical difficulties over here. We're right back. So I left off at Revelations chapter 12, verse 11. And it says, "And they were victorious by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of his witness. And they did not love their lives unto death." So basically, they forsook their flesh, and even physically, they were able or willing to die for their witness of Yahusha physically. "Therefore heavens celebrate, and those who dwell in them, woe to the earth and the sea, for the devil, who has great fury, has descended to them, as he knows that he has a little time." So around Yahusha's ministry, the first time this happened, the devil knew he had a little bit of time around the AD, 1st century AD, when he got casted down around that time of Yahusha being on earth. So he was really in a hurry, and he's now more in a hurry to our days.
And what has he been doing ever since but persecuting the people of Yahuwah? That's verse 13.
Yep. "And when the dragon saw that it had been cast down to the earth, it persecuted the woman who had been given birth to the male, the man-child. And the 2 wings of a great eagle were given to the woman to fly into the wilderness to her place, to be sustained there for a time, times and half a time, 3.5 years from before the face of the Nachash." So basically, this is what we're waiting to happen. This right now, we're getting to the time where this is going to be applying to our time period, verse 14.
And it means literally away from the presence of Nachash.
Mm-hmm.
Because Yahusha will be there. It says in Luke 21:36 that we stand before Ben Ha'adam. That's Yahusha HaMashiach.
Yep.
And the whole scenario is right here in Revelation 12. "Out of his mouth the dragon spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away by the river. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and went to fight with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and possessing the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach."
Yep. All right, so that's it for Revelations 12. And that ends our portion of this study. Sorry, but we're going to have to do a part 3. And part 3 will be consisting of the last 2 parts of this study. The tribulation portion, where we're going to get into verses about the tribulation and the day of Yahuwah. So that's the last 2 parts of our study, and that will be in part 3. So please stay tuned. We will be back shortly for a part 3. I hope you enjoyed this study so far. Shalom.
Shalom.